So starting to get a lot of people arriving now. I'll give it another minute and then I will kick off with the video, and then we can kick off with the program. There's no real set format, guys. I don't think I've certainly never done this before. I don't think anyone else has ever done this before. So we're just going to keep blasting away until we get to the end. We've got some really good speeches lined up for you. I will bring that back up now so everyone can see. Some really, really good speeches lined up. We've got Fleetwood Men's Shed going to be talking to us, hopefully. Haven't heard from them this morning, but I'm sure they'll be kicking about, ready to go to talk about a little bit of mental health and how swimming really helps with that. And then a last-minute addition, which people might have saw last night, is Julie Bradshaw, MBE, who's going to come on at the end and give some thoughts as well. So, you know, there's lots of things being done, which is great. So I've said it before, guys. I'll keep saying it all the way through. The more you're chatting, the more that we're showing our support in the chat. It's all being recorded, so it's just going to be more and more evidence to the guys at the council that you know, this is not a few people saying this. This is a big community issue. So the more that we can kick off in the chat, the better. Think of it like shouting at a protest. As long as it's, you know, fairly clean, put it in the chat as much as you can. Also, if you have questions, there is a little question button where next to your post you can mark it as a question. As I'm going through with each of the people presenting today, if you've got any questions for them, throw them in the chat. I'll be able to fire them across to them. We'll try and get through as many as we can and try and keep everyone as sort of happy and upbeat as we can. So it's getting towards that time, so I'm going to start off with the first video, and then we'll start getting into the first chat. So here we go. So just something nice just to kick off for the very first system that we've got. Another thing that I've got, which we can throw up, if I get rid of this, is a proper little slideshow of all the physical protesting that we did last time. Everyone has been very kind, sent me all their wonderful videos, so that can sit in the background as we go through. So, without much further ado, it's a little bit ahead of time. I know people are just arriving, but as you can see from the screen, we have our very first speaker. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, everyone should be able to hear you.
Hi, yeah. My name's Lorraine Beavers. I am the local Labour councillor, county councillor and town councillor. I'd just like to sort of update people on the background really of what we've been doing, and we're hoping we can take this too. So no further ado, I'll carry on. So the impact of COVID has reached far and wide, with physical and mental health taking a massive hit. In June, the Labour group of councillors wrote to the council about the need to reopen all of our leisure centres as soon as it was safely possible to do so, and requested certain commitments on the reopening of all our centres and the staff which were employed. The response was underwhelming, with no response from the Conservative leader and not the slightest hint of agreeing to our demands. The Labour councillors were told in June we were scaremongering. We would be glad to have been proved wrong, but we were just saying it how we saw it. Sadly, our analysis was correct, with the pools remaining shut and at least 49 jobs had been lost. In June, they were saying that only 2 centres, Thornton and Garstang, were reopening. But the pressure we exerted told, and in July the council did a U-turn, opening all 4 gyms. Sadly, this didn't include the pools, despite the fact they could have been opened during the late summer and early autumn. Although the summer gym reopening was a step in the right direction, the Labour councillors wanted to know what the council was getting for the additional 489,000 subsidy, which was on top of the previous 147,000 annual subsidy to the YMCA. We wanted overview and scrutiny to be allowed to do their job and actually scrutinise and help secure the future of all our leisure centres. Ensure that all options for reopening of the swimming pools have been properly considered, verified, and the public were getting value for money, and safeguarding YMCA staff from the threat of redundancy. A reasonable request, you may think, but rather than welcoming scrutiny, Wyre Council used the COVID crisis to avoid it, seemingly through dubious interpretations of the emergency rules. As it turned out, Overview and Scrutiny Committee had unnecessarily been stopped from meeting from March till November. The near £1 million going to the YMCA has still not been scrutinised today. Who knows whether value for money is being achieved? Had councillors been formally allowed to scrutinise Wyre's actions over the summer, then maybe we wouldn't be where we are today, with our pools not being opened. Scrutiny should have played an important role for the council, yet too often Wyre pay lip service, a tick in the box exercise to give the pretence that an issue is being properly looked at. Well, we finally got our chance on the 15th of December, and I felt myself and fellow Labour councillors put forward a strong one. And the Fleetwood councillors, Paul Longton and David O'Neill, and Cleveland's councillor, Rob Vale, asked all the right questions. It's just disappointing to hear all the feeble answers. And credit where credit's due, a couple of the Conservative councillors made their presence felt. Sadly, too many of them didn't, with some not uttering a word, but being content to vote down the calling. You can only assume that they misunderstood the question, which wasn't whether you agreed or disagreed with the decision. The question was whether a sound or unsound decision had been made. And I know the chair may have thrown two curveballs. One was allowing Alan Vincent to speak at all. And as for answering questions from councillors, even though he shouldn't have been allowed to do so, and the only person that should have been answering questions to councillors was Councillor Lynn Bowen, who had made the decision not to open Polton and Fleetwood's leisure centres and pools. And another was disallowing the new data requested by myself a week earlier, data which would have shone even more light on the dodgy data presented to the Cabinet meeting on the 25th of November, where the decision was made not to open Polton and Fleetwood swimming pools. Both of these, I believe, go against the council's constitution, and in plain terms, I believe they broke the rules. But even without the new data, it was patently obvious from the evidence presented that the decision was built on sand. And what else could it be when the missing schools and club data and unreliable and incorrect membership usage data? If there was any doubt that the Cabinet's decision was based on dodgy data, the new data removed any such doubt, proving the Cabinet arguments don't hold water. A bit like the current state of Polton and Fleetwood baths, you may say. The next step. So where do we go from here? Well, any campaign with people power has a chance of succeeding. So don't be downhearted. We can win this. The campaign to reopen Fleetwood and Poulton's leisure centres and pools has received amazing level of support. And it's so pleasing to see high profile support of Julie Bradshaw, MBE, world record swimmer and ex-Fleetwood Amateur Swimming Club member. And it doesn't stop there. I can tell you that the campaign is expanding by the day. Just before Christmas, the Labour group was contacted by Ken Gridland, president of the local trade union council. And we were delighted to hear that they met on the 15th of December and agreed unanimously to support the public campaign. We have the public opinion on our side, and actually we have factual evidence on our side. So our next step needs to concentrate on getting the evidence out into the public domain, and for residents and concerned councillors to keep the pressure on Wyre until such times as they do the right thing. Having an organised campaign is important. Having a route into the council is important. And your Fleetwood councillors and at least some of your Thornton Cleefless councillors can be relied upon to continue to hold them to account. So carry on doing what you're doing. Carry on building the groundswell of opinion. Write to the papers, lobby Wyre Cabinet and help expose what they're doing. Or more to the point, expose what they're not doing, which is making plans to reopen the swimming pools and gyms. Thank you so much for your time.
And thank you very much for agreeing to be part of this. That was a very moving speech. I know you probably can't see the chat that's going on, but there's an incredible amount of support coming through from quite a few people in there. It's definitely amazing to see. So thank you very much. I'll just quickly ask the room, is there any questions for Lorraine? We've still got a couple of minutes left if anybody would like to ask a quick question. But everything that's coming through right now is just all great speech, well said, well presented. Thank you. So I'll give it another couple of seconds. But yeah, that was a very moving speech. Thank you very much for agreeing to come on.
You're more than welcome. I'm going to log off and I'm going to join the chat and see what's going on now, if that's okay with you. Is that fine?
Excellent. That's brilliant. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Solidarity.
Bye.
Bye.
Right. So I'm just going to very, very quickly switch over, guys, so that we can get the next person up and running. Might take me a few seconds just to get the correct things in place, but the next person to speak will hopefully be a representative from Fleetwood Men's Shed, which would definitely be a welcome addition to the debate. So I'm just going to see if I can get them on the line. And then we can move forward, but keep the chat going, guys. Keep moving forward with it, and I will see if I can get the representative from Fleetwood Men's Shed on the phone right now. Okay, so I'm just waiting for the representative from Fleetwood Men's Shed to get back to me. What I am doing though is having a look down the chat. There's some excellent things being brought up here, especially to do with the ombudsman, local councillors, representation from YMCA, which is definitely something that I would think that we'd like to look forward to getting on board with. An excellent question from Laurie Holden. What is the alternative to having a pool? What are the public supposed to do now in terms of swimming? It's one of the points that just hasn't been answered on any level really by the council. is to what are we supposed to be doing now? It's not something that I can answer, but hopefully we can start from this leading forward and getting some more some answers from them. Template of concern we can send to Wyre. That is definitely something that we can look at. Template format letters, format emails, definitely the sort of thing that we can look at as a group and do that moving forward. I haven't had a response from the men's shed, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to shift everyone around a little bit and see if Holly Swales is available. And if she is, we'll just move straight onto that one, and then I will try and get back to them a little bit later on. So if I quickly jump down here, and hopefully she'll be available. It's very loud.
Hello?
Hello, I'm just going to put you up on the screen, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll.
Okay.
If I just take this one here, and I go... There we are. You're now live on the digital protest.
Okay. As a Labour councillor for Boardwalk Taunton, I'm involved with Labour's Polton brand. Online petition urging Wyre Council to open Polton Pool and Spa. I'm pleased to report there are over 1,000 signatures to support the reopening of the pools. I'm in full support of the campaign of keeping all the facilities open for a matter of well-being. Wyre Council can't deny any child of learning to swim
I know it's a very emotional thing, and it's okay. We're all here to support you and help you get through this. Just take your time, and we'll get there. I think we might just be having a few technical issues, guys. Just give me a few seconds and we'll see if we can sort them out.
You just sat there.
Okay, just a few little technical hiccups, guys. We're just making sure that we've got everything in place, and then we'll get straight back in. Part of the wonders of doing this for the first time. Really not knowing what I'm doing, but we'll get there. Okay. So that was all Holly wanted to say, really, just to show how much support and how much how much she was getting out of everything. Her camera seems to be a little bit on the fritz, but if you've got any questions for Holly, please send them in to me right now. I've still got her on the line. I can pass them over and we can see if we can get the audio working correctly. All I would say, Holly, you can't see the chat, but there's nothing but support. You know, you're doing a great job. You're really helping out. It's definitely not you. You can tell from the way that your voice was breaking there, and that how difficult it was. This is something that you're very passionate about. So, you know, there's nothing but support in here. Just one more thing for everyone, guys. If you can, please go on, sign the petition. I'll put the links to it on the Facebook group again. I will put it all out there again. Please, please, please go on and sign that petition. The more people, it's the same with anything in politics. You know, the more it's engaged, the more they have to start listening. So that is a definite thing. I'm just going to check the chat again. Holly, I think that's everything. So I'll drop you out if that's okay. And I think that's thank you very much for showing up and for showing how much you really care about this. So thank you very much. Okay. So drop that out. I will try and get hold of the men's shed again, just to. I know that they really, really wanted to come on and show their support for this cause. So I will certainly try. And if not, if Elliot still happens to be in the chat, I saw him a second ago. If you want to just quickly drop off, then I will happily sort of phone you up and we can move on to that one. And while I'm doing this, so what is the YMCA stance on reopening? That is a wonderful question, Katie. I do not know. If there's anybody out there who happens to be on the YMCA, please get in touch. I'm going to put that as a broadcast comment. You know, that is definitely the sort of thing that we need to be asking, and we need the people of Wyre Council to get involved with, to be finding out from the people working at the YMCA and find out exactly what they're doing. Right, I can't seem to get a response from the men's shed, so if Elliot has dropped out, I will give him a call, and he will be the next one up to speak. So if I give him a quick call, again, I apologise for that being very loud. It's just I've got the microphones turned way up. And then I will change this over. Aha, there we go.
Hello, can you all hear me?
I will check and make sure. I can certainly hear you. You're definitely showing on mine. I'll just drop this down a little bit. I've got a little bit of space. So can we just do a quick radio check? Can we just, someone in the chat, let us know if you can hear Elliot? Yes, yep, we can all hear you. Brilliant.
Right, well, I just would like to start by saying Happy New Year to everybody, and thanks for joining in with this. My name's Elliot Meyers. I think the reason I'm involved is because pretty much from the pool opening, I've probably been one of its biggest users. So I'm currently chief coach of Fleetwood Swimming Club, so I run the swimming side of things from the club's point of view. That's something like 18 hours a week of swimming provision for local kids. I've been a member of that club since 1975, so a lot of the photos you're seeing there, I've seen my picture come up a good half a dozen times at least already, and I've been coaching since 1993. So I think as an individual, I'm probably the person that spent the most amount of time in the pool and the most amount of time in the building, including people that actually work there. So that's my background and why I'm involved. As a club, we have 200 plus members. As I say, it's about 18 hours a week, I think we use the pool, so we have a lot of provision there. That will bring in something like 25,000 individual visits. So these 200 kids are going to be turning up 25,000 times. I don't actually think that data was used by the council, but nobody's got back to us to say whether it was used or not. And in terms of paying for the pool, we do pay. So we're paying over £50,000 to the pool. So we're one of the top 3 earners for YMCA in terms of pool use there. So that's how I got involved, and that's why we do have dialogue with YMCA throughout the year anyway, not just to do with this, but obviously as a big user that we do have meetings 3 or 4 times a year anyway. Adding to that, I'm the person that's kind of like suggesting some of the data is incorrect, because one fact that seems to be being used is that 50% more lessons take place at Garstang, whereas I think something like 1,000 lessons a week take place at Fleetwood. So it's things like that that I'm questioning. So I'm aware that there are like 500 children using the YMCA's own Learn to Swim program. There's 13 schools use the pool. If we say there's about 28 kids in a class, I think that's 364 kids. So that's on a weekly basis, over 800 or 900 kids having lessons, and then you're throwing in our members. There's a rookie lifeguards thing going on twice a week. So we're talking something like 1,000 to 1,200 kids on a weekly basis are losing out on their swimming. There are all the other groups. I know I don't have data for the other groups, but it would be great if people contacted us. So I'm aware on a Saturday there's a disability group called Wyre Flounders that use it. There's all the individual kind of like pop mobility groups and things run through YMCA. So it'd be great if you could get us information about that and how many people use it from your personal experience on a weekly basis. They're all things we can use because the council are not telling us whether they're including these things. So we need to ask. A little bit of a background. A lot of the initial information was actually coming from us as a club, either through members of staff that was being made redundant, or just because as a swimming club, we get all the guidelines about swimming safely in a pool and all the COVID guidelines. So we were being actually updated with that on a weekly basis. So one of the things that keeps being mentioned is COVID guidelines keeping things closed. Pools have been able to be open since the middle of July last year. Most local councils waited till September to open. I believe that reason was kind of like to kind of ensure that they had time to make sure the pool was safe and could get up and running. So if they decided to open Fleetwood now, it would take anywhere from a month to 2 months to get it open. So that was that. But there is one pool in Blackpool open, a 25-metre pool, and the other one is having planned work done on it. Lancaster has 2 25-metre pools. Preston has opened 1 out of 2 25-metre pools. Southport has opened 25-metre pools. Leyland has opened a 25-metre pool. All of this has happened since September. So it does keep getting mentioned about COVID guidelines. It's not COVID guidelines that are actually keeping the pools closed. In fact, in terms of COVID, swimming is actually a relatively safe thing to do. The actual chlorine that's put in the pool is known to actually kill the virus. So while you're actually swimming, as long as you're in the water, it's a reasonably safe activity to do. We were given all manner of guidelines of how you would operate sessions. So, you know, that we do know, and we've been to other places where you can swim safely in the pool. And all the reasons that Fleetwood is being, or all the reasons that make Fleetwood an expensive pool to run, because it is an expensive pool, are things that actually make it probably a very safe pool to actually swim in terms of the COVID guidelines. It's, as you can see there, it's got a very high roof, so there's a lot of air in there, there's a lot of air circulating, so that's kind of like moving any kind of like airborne particles around. You can see it there again. The pool side, so you can see it there, 3 meters around on all the way around is 3 meters around. So you can do very, very safe social distancing, whereas these small pools tend to have very narrow pool sides, and it's very difficult for kind of like, you know, if you're going to get, let's say, 10 or 12 people into the pool, it's very difficult for them to maintain social distancing on a narrow pool side. And it can very, very safely have a very, very effective one-way system. I mean, I help with running Fleetwood Triathlon every year. We can get 500 people safely through doing 16 lengths. To get 20 people in at a time, it is relatively safe. Yeah, so that's a little bit about my background and a little bit of information about the pool if we could get it open. Obviously in Tier 4, at the moment, all pools and gyms that are in Tier 4 areas will be closed. Are there any questions coming up, Ashley? Because I'm aware I'm talking probably longer than I expected to.
That's absolutely fine. We've got loads of time.
Okay, so yeah, so
I would just say, if you just turn your microphone, if you just turn your speaker down a little bit, I think there's a tiny little bit of feedback when I'm talking. But there is definitely some stuff that you want to be aware of. You probably can't see the screen at the moment because I know you're on sort of small at the moment. I've just put up the use comparison chart that's just been sent to me, which, you know, fully backs what you're saying. Fleetwood's use up like a huge amount for the time of 19 to 20. So, you know, even on that principle, you know, we're easily on a par with Garstang, Poulton and Thornton and other places. There's a few other things that you definitely might want to see from the chat, which you'll see when you drop back in. But Flounders is something you mentioned, have about 20 members. 10 turn up regularly. Most of them swim during the week as well. And a wonderful phrase from Susan, movement is medicine, you know, for these people. It's not just about sort of, you know, going to the pool for a splash about. These people need it for their rehabilitation and their sort of continuing well-being. Yeah,
but obviously for the things like the Wyre Flounders, the actual wide pool side, I know there's the kind of like the mechanism to help people getting in and out of the pool will be at other pools as well. But the fact that there is the space, all things like that are very, very useful. So the actual bigger pool is ideal for things like that. So that's one of the things that Fleetwood has got going for it. So yeah, I tend to work off little bits of paper. So right, I mean, that brings us to where we kind of are now. So in terms of Tier 4, all pools and gyms are closed in those areas. So no pools in Wyre will actually be opening now, and I imagine it's going to occur for like a good few weeks, maybe a few months. It does actually give us time to, as a community, plan further and actually come up with things that we are aiming to do, that we are planning to do, to actually convince the council and YMCA. It's not just the council, it is YMCA, to convince them that the correct decision is to actually open our pool. So a bit of the background is, if YMCA actually had the money, the pool would be open. It isn't just Wyre Council's decision. What's actually happened is YMCA have said, we want to open all our facilities, and we know that because at the beginning of November the swimming club was actually planning to do that, and the date given was January the 4th to open all the facilities in Wyre. It was awaiting council approval, and approval wasn't given, and we've got all the reasons why that approval wasn't given. So that's the background as far as I am aware. So Wyre Council have only offered this amount of money, and YMCA will have said, well, this is all we can open with that amount of money. So that's where we're kind of at the moment. Things that we can be doing as a community, though, this is the thing, we've got to let all the local councillors get on with what they do within the council, but as a community we've actually got to carry on pulling together. Now, I assume that the council would have thought that any kind of protest, anything would have been fizzling out by now. But if anything, the opposite is true. So we've got a Facebook group with getting on for 4,000 people. I think it's up to 3,600 at the moment. Obviously, we're putting things out on there, and thanks to Ashley for getting involved. But if you see anything, you share it, you like it. Even if you share it and like it every single day, it's all going to help. We've got to get the message out there. At the same time, we've got to come up with positive things. So all these positive stories that we're actually using, positive numbers, we've got to try and convince the powers that be that it's not just about the cost of running an expensive pool, it's about the actual benefits of having that in the community. So we're kind of like putting things together about the health of Fleetwood, water safety, kids swimming, all these different groups, all the different health benefits of being in the pool. So over the next few months, we really want to be kind of like sending out this positive message of why we need the pool to be open. And that's what we as a community need to be doing. Okay.
So just
one 10 minutes there. So
one question's just flashed up actually, from Danny Topping. Why was the pool emptied, and how long until it starts to deteriorate? Are these the sort of questions that we can answer?
The kind of questions that I can kind of like put people's minds rest a little bit. I mean, in terms of pools being closed, the longer a pool is closed, the more issues there could be with the pool and the more expensive it is to open. That they are all facts. However, Fleetwood is quite an old pool. They used to close it every year for a full month to actually regrout the pool and everything. So as a pool, it is used to not having water in it compared to other pools. The actual fabric of the building is ready to actually start putting water back in, and the actual pool basin is in very good nick indeed. Okay, so you won't know until you start filling it, but hopefully the fact that it's a pool that has been emptied, it's probably been emptied for about 2 years of its 40-year lifespan already, so that should help it. Lytham St Anne's pool was closed for a few years, and YMCA have managed to successfully reopen that. So there are pros and cons with that. I don't know why the decision was made to empty. Well, I do know why the decision was made to empty it. If you didn't empty it, you had to kind of like maintain chlorine levels and actually maintain certain kind of like health and safety issues. So there were two options. One was to kind of like keep the pool running at a low level or empty it. And they emptied it gradually and you refill it gradually. So that there were things done to kind of like keep it as well as possible. Obviously, all the plant, you won't know if there are any issues with the plant until you start running it. But that's the case for all pools.
Yeah, but again, the great thing about Fleetwood and the great position that Fleetwood's in is that a lot of this has been recently serviced to quite a high level, from what I gather. So you know if anything, that should be a positive boon for Fleetwood, is that everything has been reserviced and it should be ready to go.
Yeah, so they don't envisage. When I say they don't, you won't know until you start it running. But that is the case with every pool. So that was why, even though pools could open in July, most councils didn't open until September. They just put in a little bit of leeway. So if the pool was announced to be open, I think you'd reasonably expect a 6-week turnaround or something to get it up and running.
Brilliant. Right. Well, thank you, Elliot. That's been absolutely wonderful. I've got the next person standing by. So I just want to say there's been nothing but support in the chat for what you've been saying. Nothing but but people sort of praising what's going on. So thank you so much for everything you're doing. We just need to.
Can I just add one thing? This is the key thing that I was actually going to say.
Yeah, go for it.
And I forgot about it. It was the last thing. So within this group, we're making a big thing of it being a community asset. That's one of the things we're actually looking into, is listing the pool as a community asset. However, it is a community asset. It's one of the biggest community assets in the town. 200,000 people use it every year. I mean, they're the figures from Wyre Council. That is a lot of people. If we get it open, one of the things that we need to turn this group into is a group that gets it open, and then the idea is to keep it open. So hopefully this community group will carry on working with the likes of Men's Shed and other local organisations to actually increase usage of the pool and actually bring in money. I mean, we're going to ask in the new year to kind of like start fundraising. The fundraising, as far as I see it, is to actually go into the community and build up community use to the pool rather than subsidising Wyre Council and YMCA. I do think that is what we should actually be actively trying to do. Okay?
Yeah, fully agree.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If you
Time.
jump back into the chat, then people can ask you questions. Okay. So again, guys, just a couple of seconds just for me to set everything back up. But I do have our next guest standing by. So hopefully, again, I apologise for the noise. And I should be able to.
Hello.
If you give me just 10 seconds, I'm just going to put you back on. There we are, back on the screen.
Smash.
I've gone for full embarrassment with a wonderful photo of you from just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Not a problem. So, thank you very much for being here. It definitely means a lot.
Okay, yeah, it's great to be here. Obviously, I wanted to say last night just came on. For those that don't know me, I'm Julie Bradshaw. I've been involved in swimming for, well, since the day dot. And I think Elliot said it was back in about 1975. And I recall being a member of Fleetwood Swimming Club round about that time. And I actually swam with Elliot and a lot of the other people. So I know the pool very well. I got involved with this campaign when Cat Smith, the MP, started it off with the local councillors. As you probably all realise, I'm very, very passionate about swimming, and to close pools, especially in this day and age with all the mental health problems, swimming is an exercise and pools need to be open. I'm in total agreement with what Elliot said already with all the data and everything else, the same with Holly and the same with Lorraine. I thank them all for all their efforts as well. As I say, I'm passionate about swimming. I joined the swimming club back in '77, and the swimming club has produced some amazing swimmers. Obviously, I went on to do open water, swimming Windermere as a member of Fleetwood Swimming Club, and obviously then later on went on, when I was 15, to swim the English Channel. I recall with very fond memories the amazing coaches, as Elliot will know, Brian Porter and Jeff Southwood, and of course the Olympians that they've produced as well, all the great people that come out of that school, Maria Scott, Debbie and Al Gore as well, all of whom I swam with. So when I heard that the pool was being closed and continue to close, I just wanted to get on board. I feel so passionate about it. Why do they need to close this pool? It's minimum to actually bring it up and running. As I said in one of the comments, at the moment, there's no water in it. They need to put the water back in. We need to keep that pool, getting it ready to open. I was just so appalled when I listened to the scrutiny committee, all the excuses, or let's say reasons why not. There was just no answers to it. All the data that Elliot, Lorraine and Holly have presented, all the data just doesn't back up what they were saying. We need to get this pool open. There's so many residents. Obviously, I'm on this Fleetwood Save the Swimming Pool page, and I've had people emailing me, young and old, all saying about how much they miss the swimming. So a lot of residents don't have cars, a lot can't drive, and they're expecting them to actually drive to other pools way out of the county. It's absolutely ridiculous. They just need to open that swimming pool. All the children that are missing out on swimming lessons, we don't need them to go and get involved in sort of swimming the channel or Olympians and stuff like that. They need it for water safety, especially living by the sea. Learning to swim, I can remember learning to swim, and it's just such an amazing skill, and all the children are going to be missing out on that if they can't get to any of the other pools. Why do they need to do? Like Elliot said, it's a big community issue. This is, even though I'm Lancashire born and bred, Blackpool, I'm still involved in a lot of things up in Lancashire, as Elliot will know, with the Blackpool Pier Swim. And I was actually going to be running an event as well at Fleetwood, all about participation in keeping people healthy and fit and getting involved. And now, obviously, that's not possible because this pool is not open. It's totally ridiculous. I've had residents as well onto me, those that actually can't drive because of some physical disability. The groups that are there, the pool's all equipped. It's got a hoist and everything. It caters for everybody. And I just so hope that the council take notice and that together we can all fight this, together as a community. As you can probably hear, I'm just really so passionate about it, and I'm just really glad to be involved with you all, the community spirit, and to get it out there. This pool definitely needs to be open, and I'll do everything I can to help you all. As I say, one of the pools down here, where I live, was going to be closed last year. We've got a petition going, and they've actually kept it open. So there's always hope. I remember years ago at Kirkham swimming pool, they were going to close that, and they found the money to actually do it up. And I recall swimming in there doing an opening evening. So let's all keep, there's a lovely photograph there of all the ladies having their hands up. Just imagine, they're missing all that. Let's get it open, guys. Let's just go forward. I don't know if there's any comments coming up. As I say, I didn't prepare any speech or anything. I just kind of speak from my heart because I'm so passionate about swimming pools. It's my life and it's the life of everybody. And if this pool's closed, it'll take a lot away from them.
That's absolutely correct. Just because I know you can't see the chat, so I'm going to throw some stuff across. There's a message here from Katie. I don't drive. I need to get to that pool. Mental health is suffering. It's such a big thing. Physical, mental health, mental well-being. To just lose. There's an absolutely brilliant one here I've just highlighted to everyone. Expecting the schools to use Garstang Pool. Apart from the added transport costs, how are schools supposed to accommodate that in their timetables? Like an extra 45 minutes each way from somewhere like one of the Fleetwood places, like Fleet Primary, for example. Just an absolute like spot on kind of thing to say. Yeah. I'm just going to.
It is ridiculous. I mean, I trained. I was a physical education teacher initially. I'm a psychotherapist now and life coach. I'm still involved heavily in swim coaching, so I know what they're saying. Swimming is, to go swimming, to get out, the social health and well-being of people. Like you just said now, Katie can't drive. The pool, why drive? Having Garstang, it's ridiculous having to waste money. And school, like swimming on the curriculum. The first thing they will cut out is the swimming because of the travel. You don't want to spend that time travelling. You've got to fit it into lessons. So, come on, they just need to see sense and keep this pool open.
There's another good one here, actually, moving sort of in the same direction, school lessons, but as well as that, you've got the water safety programme, rookie lifeguards, NPLQ, National Pool Life Saving Qualification, so a lifeguard in the mix. It's not just this is the thing that I've been saying to a lot of people. It's not a single issue of like we just want to be able to swim. There's so many other facilities, and it's not a swimming pool anymore. It's a hub. And that's, I think, what a few people are missing is the fact that it's a community hub, not just the pool.
Yeah, for the community, I've just felt this, since being part of this campaign as well. The community spirit, it's just so amazing. It's more than, like you say, it's more than a pool. It's a community, and if that pool was to remain closed, it would just be such a travesty. As I keep saying, it needs to be opened. The community, it's a community. It's a hub, you know, a place where the community meets as well.
Absolutely, for definite. So I'm just going to put a last call out to people for any questions that they'd like to ask, and I can fire them across. But if not, I'm going to be leaving everything open for at least the next 10 minutes and calling out things and getting people up. So if there's no other sort of immediate questions for Julie, then please, if you don't mind jumping back into the chat, Julie, that would be wonderful, and then we can sort of keep everything going for another couple of minutes and give everyone a bit more time to ask.
Okay, thank you for doing all this as well. We all really appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Cheers.
Okay, thank you. Right, I'll just remove this box, and then we're back to this. And I'll throw that up there. And guys, I'm gonna, as I said, I'm gonna leave everything on for at least another sort of 10 minutes. Please feel free. I sort of put this down as sort of messages of support. I said at the beginning, some of you might not have been online for that. All of this is being recorded. All of the chat is being recorded as well. So when I sort of put the video together, I'm probably just going to take it as it's written, to be honest, and put it up on Facebook and YouTube, just to show, you know, the level of support that we're getting, with the number of people in chat, the number of sort of brilliant points that are being raised. These are all the sorts of things that can definitely add to the cause. So also, we've still got a couple of minutes. So if anybody else wants to sort of say their piece, either type it in the chat or send me a message, and I'll see if I can get you online. Just as much as you guys can do, really. The interesting point now is for me to try and fill the silence gaps with just inane babble, so that we can keep the chat running and keep everything live, and it doesn't zone me out. So just to bring up some excellent points that are coming up here. You know, we talked earlier about the time lost for going to the travel. You know, 90 minutes going either way to come back for a swimming lesson. You're talking about 60 to 90 minutes of maths, English, science lost just to try and keep the swimming classes going. And it's definitely the sort of thing that any sort of school administrator would just immediately jump on, even though it is part of the curriculum, even though it is part of what needs to be done for primary schooling. And it's an excellent point that you can't have that amount of time lost just to travel when you've got a perfectly good facility standing idle. Quite a few people in here, the lifeguards getting involved. Alyssa, one, saying, you know, shutting the pool, you've not only lost your main exercise, you've lost the club, she's lost her lifeguarding, swimming teaching. I mean, that's a huge loss for one institution for no reason. And that's, you know, that's what's so sad about this entire thing, is that it's an avoidable loss, and it's something that we need to get back. Posters made for local shops. Yes, I finally got my digital hat back on, as you can see from this sort of background that I've got up now. I'm going to be working on at least a couple of sort of publications to throw out. I'll see how I can get them sorted. I know a few people in the print business. It's not that expensive. I'm sure I can get them sorted. What else have we got in here? Aqua class, 4 times a week, 36 ladies and gents at a time. That's the sort of thing that just doesn't get highlighted, you know. Whenever I'm in there swimming, there's always groups of people just there, swimming, chatting. What can you do? aqua with 40 ladies 4 times a week, chat for coffee. How can you quantify that level of social experience, as well as the mental health, as well as the physical health benefits that are going on with that? Like, that's almost criminal to be losing something like that. That's a powerful statement from Jack. A very powerful statement from Jack. I'm going to put that on the main broadcast. For those of you just listening in, everyone in this group, along with all the councillors, Wyre Borough Council, especially Alan Vincent and Lynn Bowen, had the opportunity to learn to swim. Why are they denying our kids the same opportunity? Sums it up, really, doesn't it? What a powerful statement. Criminal is the word. Yeah, I'm trying to be diplomatic. Was that Hilda? Yes, I'm trying to be diplomatic, Hilda. But yes, criminal is the correct word choice, I think. Prejudice against the Fleetwood. Yeah, Cat Stevens's article. I think I've got a picture of it. Hang on, I can bring up my picture of Cat Stevens's article. There you go. I think that says it all, doesn't it? The most deprived areas are the ones that miss out. Use for some others. Yeah. Rob, again, I'll highlight this for everybody and sort of bring it up for those. Regards to the graphs, we had a graph up earlier, just showing the discrepancy in the numbers between what was discussed at the council meeting. It was created to debunk the claim that Thornton and Garstang were better used than the others. When you separate out the figures for Paul and Jim, the corrected figures present a very different picture. If you were to open up a Jim only, it says here that Thornton would be the most sort of used and trafficked gym. But for Paul, Fleetwood hands down more than all the other pools combined. So I wasn't able to be at that meeting, but the phrase lies, damn lies, and statistics seem to spring to mind with regards to everything that I've seen. No, it isn't. I think I just killed it. No, is everyone back now? Sorry, I think I just managed to absolutely wipe out the the chat. Give me a second. Anybody who just put a chat on in the last sort of 10-15 seconds, would you mind just throwing it back up? Because I somehow managed to erase the chat because I have a very silly mouse. Yes, I'm back. That's only the second time today I've managed to completely wipe out the system. I did it about 5 minutes before we started, as I'm sure Lorraine will testify at some point, that I managed to wipe the system out before I started. So we've got a couple more minutes, guys. If there's anything else that you want to throw on, anything else that you'd like to talk about, please throw it in the chat. Let us all know, because the more evidence that we have and the more people that we have shouting about this, the better this is going to go for us. Katie, I absolutely fully agree with you that going to the Civic Centre when we're fully able to is definitely the sort of thing we can do. Yeah, the Civic Centre is definitely something. I have seen work in the past, a vigil, where people take turns And if we were to do a 24-hour vigil, that's definitely the sort of thing that would speak volumes. Everybody taking a little bit of time each. Yeah. Not a problem, Alison. We've got a couple more minutes. I'm going to try and keep it going as long as I can. I will get turned off at some point. Although saying that, I've got about 45 minutes left on my room expiration, so there's. I'll keep it going as long as people want to keep going. I keep saying a couple of minutes. I've got nothing else to do today. We're in tier 4, so yeah. So another protest outside the bathroom. We're out of tier 4, Pat. Absolutely. If tier 4 continues, I think they're going to hope that we're going to keep going away. I think I might have just proved that this is a viable option. So I'm happy to run another one of these. I'm happy to help out when we go back out. Not the best when it comes to standing and shouting, but sitting in front of a computer screen, I can definitely do as much as I can. How about another centre accommodate all our individual needs so they have enough clientele of their own to accommodate? I'm not sure what that's referring to, Tracy. Would you mind clarifying that? Because I think there's an idea there, but I can't quite get there myself. Good morning, Britain. Yeah. Well, we've had a little bit of interest. We've managed to have Fleetwood Weekly News come and cover us. So I hope that's going to start being pushed out. I did try and get Blackpool. I did try and get Northwest Tonight to no avail. But again, I think the more we shout about it, the more we share it, the bigger this thing gets. Yeah, as many people as we can to shout about it is definitely where we need to be. Lancs Live and the Telegraph. There we go. So loads of people going up on our behalf. So thank you for that, Julie. That's great. Where else are we? Rotary Club. That'll be interesting. I don't know if we have anybody in from the Rotary Club. If we do have someone from the Rotary Club, that would be great. Like the more that we can get, the better. Especially from an organisation as sort of well connected as a Rotary Club, that would be amazing. Yeah, local radio, definitely. Especially with the number of sort of people that are being disadvantaged by this, it's definitely the sort of cause that a local station would want to pick up. Elliot, I do hope you're writing all of these down. I'm trying my best. Civic and Parliament. Well, I'm showing up on the screen. Cat Smith, doing, I'm sure, what she can. I know she's brought it up in Parliament. I know that she's asked the question. It's just, how much more can we do? Thank you, Jack. That's a great thing to ask. Asking about Rotary Club. St Anne's people waiting list for every session can't accommodate the extra footfall. Yeah, and that's an issue that I highlighted about Garstang Pool, which got picked up in the Fleetwood article. It's pure economy of space. Fleetwood is an enormous building, and it does have the space for social distancing, for enhanced numbers, especially when we get to the lower tiers, sort of tier 3, tier 2. There's a huge amount that we can do. Yeah. Yeah, and Julie, that's a very good point. It is the festive period. We are going to take a little bit longer to hear back on each thing. So it is going to take a little bit more time at the moment. But I'd like to think that sort of moving forward from January, like love to see what people can do. Is the petition on the website? I will check now. I'm fairly certain it's on the Facebook group, but I can bring it a little bit further up the page so that we then have access to it. So if I find the Fortunately, it's just a lot of me gobbing off on here. I'll tell you what, I will find it once this is gone, and I will pin it to the top of the Facebook page for you, Hilda, so that you can find it and sign it. So who have we got? We've got clubs. Women's could do a sponsored swim at Garstang. That's a brilliant idea if that's possible. That's definitely the sort of thing that could help raise awareness, especially if the actual sponsorship. Now, this could be quite clever if you did the sponsorship as miles travelled, and then deduct off from everybody how much they've, like, the distance they had to travel to actually get there, or do it for time and deduct the time off that they had to spend traveling to that pool. I think that would speak volumes, especially if they went on public transport, properly social distanced and properly organised. But if they did a public transport to Garstang, a swim, and then back, and then we deduct the amount of time that it took to actually get there, I think that would speak volumes as to how difficult it would be. David, yes, yeah, again, it would speak volumes. Yeah, it's definitely the sort of thing that we could work on. A well turned out peaceful protest outside the pool, the civic centre, would help. It certainly would. I think I think upping the stakes would be an interesting one for that, Alison. Which is why I would suggest a 24-hour vigil. You don't have to be there for the full 24 hours. The way those vigils work is that everybody sort of turns up for a time slot, and that is the sort of thing that would just be wonderful to do. I would certainly turn up with lots of hot soup for that. I think that was Cat Smith. She was allegedly at her local park, carol singing. I can't hold too much against Cat Smith. I think that's a debate for another time, maybe. I think right now what we need to focus on is Wyre Council. As usual with these things, it's a local government issue. Parliament can direct, they can fund, they can inquire. We need to be focusing on the local council. We need to be focusing on the lower tiers of government at this stage to try and get this thing off the ground. And yes, Sharon, I fully agree. If St Anne's can do it, why can't Fleetwood? Yeah. Thank you, Katrina. I usually think best when I'm under pressure, but yeah, it's something I've been considering. Is trying to organise a 24-hour vigil. Again, I tend to let other people lead. I'm just here facilitating as much as I can at this stage. Right. I think if everyone's happy, I know that the debate's raging and it's great, but this is the sort of thing that we can then switch over onto the Facebook group to save my voice a little bit and save me just being the the face on camera, which is a bit odd for me. But there is an amazing amount of debate going on, guys, and this is the sort of thing that needs to be going on in the Facebook group. Anytime somebody comments, posts, like, share. What I will ask, though, I'm gonna quickly bring this across, just as a little bit of my own sort of tactics. When you've got a post that you agree with, I'll find one that I haven't talked about, and I apologize for gobbing off a lot on this, but I was trying to get the digital protest off. So here from Fairbank, from Colette, for those of you that don't know sort of the social media 2.0 stuff, like, we'll do a little bit of sort of great stuff. Commenting will definitely up the ante, and when you comment, it doesn't really matter what I say, and I'm going to struggle to do it on here because I haven't got one, and I've just remembered that I haven't got a hashtag on my keyboard. But what you need to do now is imagine that is the hashtag mark. Say Fleetwood Pool, and then hit enter, and I'll go in and I'll change that in a minute. And then if you can, I mean, that's going to do quite a lot, liking and sharing. But if you click that button and share now public, when you go onto your timeline, then if you could just take the extra 10 seconds to go onto your timeline, which is up here, and then click here. What you can do, edit the post and put the hashtag here again. And then save. And yes, that's exactly it. Thank you, Julie. The reason for doing that, just as an aside, if you'll see with mine, if you click on that, everything starts to come together. And if people are doing this across platforms, so on Facebook, on Twitter, on a few other different places, what you'll end up with is this hashtag starting to take off. And you'll have all heard of trending and all that kind of stuff. That's how it works. That's what trending is. The more times this hashtag comes up, the better. So comment, put a hashtag underneath when you're finished with it. If you share it, can you just please jump back in, jump onto your timeline for where you've shared it, and just 3 dots, edit the post, add the hashtag in. And that will just drive everything forward and just keep everything moving. Yes, Julie, as well. That is also an excellent thing. Facebook Lives. If you're going past the pool, Facebook Live, if you've got time, throw it on and just sort of, you know, tag in at the pool for the Facebook Live, and just lament the fact that you would probably be going swimming about now. When it's shared, if there's the option to hashtag, which I believe there is, hashtag it again, say Fleetwood Pool, and it will just keep driving and driving and driving. And the more that hashtag gets shared, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, if you're that way inclined, I'm a little bit old for that, I should think. As much as you guys can do would just help out so much, and just keep driving that message. So yeah, I think that's probably enough of me gobbing off on social media for 10 minutes. So if everyone's sort of done, we can jump down onto Facebook and then start getting the message out there. And I will put this video up as soon as it's processed. So thank you very much, everyone. That was way more successful, and all thanks to everybody in the chat, everybody messaging, everybody getting involved, and especially thank you to everyone who spoke. It was a great message that people sort of came across, and a particular highlight, Holly. You know, the emotion. It just shows you just how emotive this issue is, which is, you know, she could barely even get the words out, and that's I think how a lot of us are feeling. So thank you, guys. It's not a problem. it's not a problem. But thank you, everyone, and I'll sign off and say I'll see you in the future. Have a very happy 2021.